All right, welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is Fly-In Formation number 126. I reach out and talk to different artists across Canada every week. If you don't know by now, you should. Do my best to keep up with all the independent hip-hop dropping across the country every week, and put together an hour-long mix on my mix show after the smoke is clear. So after doing that for a few years, I decided it was time to start reaching out to all these artists whose music I was playing. And that's where we are today, a few years into doing Fly-In Formation. Today, I've got return guest. I think the last time we talked was like November 23, something like that.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a while back. Yeah, I had to
Yeah.
look it up before we did this. But welcome aboard. JusJrdn is in the building.
Hey, thanks for having me, broski.
Oh,
Damn,
yes.
it's been a minute.
Right? Yeah, dude, you have been on a journey.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I talked to you. I remember, I mean, let's just start off here. Last time I talked to you, you were doing pre-orders on the
Ol-
Olympia, or was it
Olympus,
Olympus?
yeah,
Olympus.
baby.
Hey, and there it is.
Bro, I'll send after this. I'll get your address. I'll send you one, bro.
Oh, I would love that, man. Yeah, I'll
I'll
pay you
send you
whatever
one.
you need for it,
Oh,
dude. That would
no,
be great.
no, bro.
Hell
I'll
yes.
send you one.
Okay, well,
Hook you
I
up.
love supporting music, but I love it when the musicians support the show as well. So that would be
Abs-
appreciated, man. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro.
So I guess let's
That's
talk about that, dude. It became a reality. How many did you? It was a pre-order last I talked to you. So did you meet the full pre-order and then get to, spend everybody's money ordering it and stuff? Because I've
And
been,
that's exactly, yeah, absolutely. So it worked out,
yeah.
it was it worked out pretty well. Like that. We did the push for the pre-order. We got enough to finally freaking put the order in. I was working on this album for even my one homie, shout out Nick Degree. I went and met up with him a couple weeks ago, and he's like, showed him the album, showed him the YouTube plaque too, and he's like, bro, you would talk about this album for forever, you know?
I want to say last time we talked, you said it was 5 years in the making. So now we're 2 years out from that. I mean, a year and a bit out from that, anyways. Yeah,
And because I think the one of the very first songs, "Sending Positive Vibes," it was made at the same time weed got legalized in Canada.
okay, yeah.
So
It's been a minute for sure. Yeah. I don't
it's the
think I even
struggle.
have the weed man's phone number anymore at this point. you know.
So it's uh, things take, especially in the independent game, it really is about the resilience and the grind. There's a million and one times I could have stopped with that album. I
Yeah.
could have stopped with the pre-order. I could have stopped once the pre-order wasn't going great at the start. And then we got it out, and we still selling them every month.
Beautiful, man. How many did you do for the pre-order before ordering?
Before the pre-order, I think we ended up doing, because we almost out of the first batch, which we did a round of 100,
Okay.
100, but 100 at $100.
Yeah. Nice, man.
So
Nice.
so it's they sell slower, but every order is selling 2, 3, 4 records a month is worth it every single time.
Damn, yeah, that's
Uh,
beautiful, man. I remember we compared it to the Nipsey Hussle strategy there, just selling less albums for more money, being the wave at that point. But
And
yeah,
one thing I gotta say on that though too is it seems that the people that buy it every time, because it is such an investment, that I just got a message from this like 65-year-old dude in England that bought one. And he bought one, we shipped it over, he got it ASAP, send me this message. I couldn't be more excited. I can't believe, it's like, damn,
it,
people are invested in it.
is that your usual demographic? How many 65-year-old listeners you figure you got, man?
Not well, these days it's shocking. Well, definitely not my main demographic, but they sprinkled in there these days.
Sure, nice, man. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised how old the average audience that looks at my Instagram is. I guess I play old head boom bap stuff, but not only old head boom bap stuff, you know.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
So it is what it is. But yeah, the demographics always changing. Um, dude. So in the year since dropping this album, like,
Yeah.
have you kind of changed at all how you think about physical media or connecting with the fans as a result of what you've seen happen with this album? Like, it sounds like it kind of cemented your view, really, that was the way to go.
Yeah, and the one thing I will still say though is, man, is it ever a pain in the ass to get fit, like, the just the amount of steps, because I did just put out that new song Atmosphere,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it was the first, like proper song. I released some like meditation, atmospheric stuff that I was working on, but nothing I was pushing too heavy. But this was like the first, rap song back,
Okay. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least digitally. And how much easier it is to just drop a song online, but in turn, how hard it is to now make that song profitable is, so and
Right.
that's actually to talk about what I'm working on kind of right now is balancing out the business aspect of it all. Is, what is the proper move forward? Is it the streaming? Is it the physical media? Actually, even last year I had some success with sync too. I sold a bunch of songs to a catalog.
You're touching
And
on a lot of things I want to ask about coming up
oh,
here.
word.
Yeah, definitely,
Excellent.
definitely.
Excellent.
We'll
Yeah,
get into all of that shit, man.
it's been an interesting journey since the last time we talked, a lot of different avenues. I really see the music game a lot. I shouldn't even say the music game. Music game is also a part of it, but now too, but it's like, this entertainment game,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the world from a very different perspective, and where the music fits into all of this is where I'm trying to really figure it out now.
Actually, that brings up a good point, man. I had it written here that you're an MC, producer, and content creator at this point. I don't think I introduced you that way last time, but is that a label you're happy to have? I don't think I introduced you that way this time either, because I just said some other shit. But is that a label you're happy to have, content creator?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's so interesting to be on this content hustle. Every artist these days, other than maybe your Kendrick Lamar's and Adele's,
Yeah.
are constantly making content. And what's interesting about the content that I make now is it's primarily not about my music.
Right.
And what's ironic about the whole thing too is it's helping me sell more of my music.
Well, it goes hand in hand with it, right? Like, people want to know who the artist is rather than just hearing a bunch of songs from somebody who stays behind a curtain all the time. Uh,
Facts.
so I think even seeing, like, a lot of what I see on your YouTube stuff is like reaction content and
Yeah,
uh
primarily.
y-
But
yeah.
such a strange thing.
So I guess let's talk about that, man. Like, I kind of looked away and then looked back, and it seemed like in that much time you were like, "Hey, I've got 100,000 YouTube followers," and I was like, "God damn, did he have 100,000 YouTube followers last time I talked to him?" Like, no fucking way, it was close. Like, I don't talk to anybody who's got 100,000 YouTube followers, bro. And I mean, I'm talking to some big acts that like get a lot of support and do a lot of tours and are all around the world doing music and stuff. It takes a lot to get 100,000 on YouTube. Like, and YouTube is
Fun.
not particularly the one where it's like known for people just like, oh, I had a viral video and it blew up, and now all these people like I heard that story on TikTok, or read that story from TikTok. I can't say I know anybody it happened to, but
Word.
like, can you explain how the fuck you've done this, bro? I think like me and
Yeah.
artists across the country are kind
Yeah.
of scratching our head looking at this like
Yeah.
everybody's trying different things, right? Yeah, what's the strategy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, I've been talking about this obviously a lot. Here, because it's not up in the studio yet, but let me show you the plaque, bro.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
bro.
Damn.
Oh,
It's
oh,
official. Yeah,
it's
it's real,
official.
right?
They sent it to me and everything. Um, dog, when I first got it, I was showing it to everybody.
Dude, I bet. Yeah, you gotta get that thing hung prominently behind you someplace there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe I'll get you. I just, the back wall is
It's
so
too far
far.
back. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
my
this
issue.
thing over my shoulder, that was an award I won for doing a season of Atsic years ago or whatever, and you
Oh,
can't begin to
dope.
read it, but that's what it fucking is.
Hey, hell yeah, bro.
Hell yes.
But it's so sick that your wall is right there, you know?
It's close. It's yeah. This is a
Yeah.
nice little stream setup. I'm like, those are real bricks. We didn't just put up some wallpaper. That's like 120-year-old brick. This is one of the oldest fucking buildings in Lethbridge, you know?
Damn, bro, that's actually a flex.
Yeah. That used to be outside and then they built on an extension to it. So yeah.
Oh, that's gangster.
Yes, hell yes, dude.
Um, but yeah, to talk about the YouTube thing, I've been putting out YouTube. Actually, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. They sent me a little freaking email saying congrats on your 10 years on YouTube, you know?
Nice.
So it's like, because it was another homie I was talking with being like, yeah, man, you've been putting out content for forever.
I was just gonna ask, was it like steady 10 years though? Because I know a lot of people kind of, start a YouTube page and then don't really attend to it as often as they could, myself included. Mine was probably started a decade ago or whatever, and I just started posting to it a few years ago, really, like when I started doing these interviews and shit.
Word. See, and my YouTube's kind of been, at the beginning I was doing a bunch of remixes and stuff. You can't find them anymore. They're all off. They were when I was 10 years younger, you know?
Sure, yeah. Okay, yeah. So you're
And
doing
so
like jumping on other people's beats and kind of doing that type of content?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%,
Okay.
freaking Big Sean, anybody's, any beat
Sure.
I could, and just like, little webcam video.
What's the
Uh,
legality of that? You just can't monetize it, right? On YouTube,
yeah,
but you're
exactly.
allowed to
And
do
it's
it and build up.
And especially because I didn't have any followers or anything, nothing could be monetized at the time, anyways, you know?
Makes sense, yeah.
And then, years of posting all kinds of, mostly just music videos when songs would drop after that. And then it wasn't until, I guess it would be 2 years ago now, 2024, I started posting a daily vlog. I did one meal a day for a year, and I posted it every day. On top of doing my own podcast, I did my podcast for a
Right.
while too.
Yeah.
Actually, that was before that even. So I was doing the podcast. Then I
Yeah,
was
that was
doing
around when I last talked to you. You had been doing some podcasting, I remember.
absolutely. So it would have been, so I was posting all kinds of different, and then I got into the shorts with the podcasting. And
Is
then
the podcast done now?
actually, I might be bringing the podcast. It is, but it might be coming back now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I've been debating between live streaming, working on a bunch of things,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what to, because now that I got this 100,000, it's like, okay, how do we get to that million?
Damn.
The goal right now in my head is 1 billion views, billion streams. How do we get there? Last year we did 35 million views, like
Holy.
just just
That's incredible, man.
oh,
Congratulations, dude.
thank you. It's just, it's crazy. The first video to get a milli, it was just like, it's just crazy, crazy things.
Eesh.
Uh,
Okay, can I ask you this? Have you
Please.
noticed, because the numbers on YouTube are huge.
Mhm.
Well, I looked, like, let me click it right now. What do you got over on? Okay, so you got plenty more than me on IG, but not 100K. You're sitting around 10K on IG. Like,
Yeah.
so the other platforms, the growth hasn't matched it. Would you say,
Mhm.
is
Yep.
it the YouTube algorithm that's serving you well? Is it that you're putting more content to YouTube?
Great question. So yeah. And that's what we're working on right now,
Sure.
because the focus was YouTube. I was doing the vlogs. The vlogs built a little bit of an audience. The podcast built a little bit of an audience. Even now, the podcast, I haven't put out an episode in a year, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and but I'm still getting, in comparison to my other stuff, not lots, but hundreds, if not thousands of views of the old episodes.
Nice.
And a cumulative, it was one thing I noticed that I was like, oh, interesting. Maybe this is something that I should start doing again, and maybe we can grow from there. But there's only so much time too. There's a lot of there's a lot we're working on. But to answer your question about the platforms, even when I dropped that single recently, atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I've talked to quite a few different people about it as of recently too. It is so hard to get people to go from one platform to the other. And
That's what
the
I hear
plat
from everybody, man. And that's what I
oh,
experienced myself too. Yeah.
absolutely. And I got a large, oh, not well, a fair audience,
Yeah.
it's all comparison, large for me, but it's like, Mr. Beast has 450 million subscribers,
Sure, you're not quite Kai Cenat or whatever, but
Yeah,
as far as an independent Canadian hip hop artist is going,
yeah.
that's a pretty big audience on
Yeah.
YouTube there. Yeah.
But it's like, I gotta keep myself. I know where I am in the world, It's like,
Yeah.
and so it's been interesting to now, because now I'm creating it's like I have a better understanding of, and I say content, but it's like, even songs. It's like, okay, am I creating this song for streaming? Am I creating this song for a physical album? Am I creating this song for sync? What is my main, like, it's like, yeah, I'm always making songs. But then it's like, as we're wrapping up songs, I'm like, okay, where are we putting this?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, and that's how that, and now with the channels, like even my Instagram, over I've only started really posting as much content as I am now for like the last, maybe I would say 2 months. Now I'm posting up to 3 times a day on Instagram alone,
Damn.
and my following has grown from 2,500 to almost 10 grand, or 10 grand, 10 in that amount of time. So it's like I've really seen the value of posting on these other channels now too. Especially because people are reaching out on every platform. People
Hmm.
are sending me, whether it's artists, whether it's PR teams, whether it's labels. Hey, we got this song coming out. Hey, would you do a post for blah blah blah, whatever,
Nice.
or just or also just people who love music being like, hey man, I love this band. Check this guy out,
Sure. Yeah. People reaching out from all platforms. Would you say, like, does it feel like a lot of the people who are reaching out is it music based, or are they fans of just like the reaction content and just kind of fans of you as a person? Because I know you also do, like fitness content at
Word.
times and
Yeah, yeah.
meditation content at times and stuff like that. Is it because you're in all these lanes that you've managed to accumulate that, would you say? Or yeah.
Oh, that's a good question because I do see it's mostly music now.
Okay.
I'd say by far it's mostly all music related.
Okay.
Uh, but that being said, even with the brands that are reaching out and stuff now, it's like, oh, we do see that you're in this fitness lane.
Sure.
Hey, we want to send you, there's a food company wants to send me a bunch of meat, or what, skin kit or whatever. So it really seems that, like, in the music niche, it's like the people that are coming out and seeing like, oh, this guy does other stuff, is the brands,
Sure.
which has been interesting. And then of course there's, my roots are in the fitness world. I was a personal trainer for 10 years, still co-own a gym. So I always have some roots in the fitness game. But yeah, primarily it's all the music stuff.
Are you
But
still
I
getting
think,
to the gym lots? I know last time I talked to you, you were like big focus on like, I don't know if it was, I think you had set some sort of goal for yourself to, I don't know, lose weight or gain muscle or do something.
probably.
You were
I'm always
working
doing
out on
something. Oh
content.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We always in the gym. We always in the gym. It's one of the staples. Gym, meditation, make the music. It's like that's the
Beautiful.
baseline, and on top of everything else.
Nice, man. And you've stayed busy making a lot of music in the past year then with this new album being out. You're not, getting off the
Oh,
gas a little bit on the music side.
oh no. If anything, I'm doing way more music.
Dope.
This year, actually, that's the big thing that I'm trying to work on right now is because I may not be releasing a lot of music.
Hmm.
Um, because it's tough and it's expensive to release songs and hope, especially because I'm not doing shows.
Right.
And that
Well, and
might
streaming
change.
doesn't pay. So if it's not a physical product like vinyl or whatever, then Yeah.
Exactly.
I
And
mean, I guess you could point people towards digital downloads. I've been the digital downloads guy waving the flag for like people should just buy MP3s. Like, I know everybody loves vinyl and loves to hold it in their hand and see the art and read the booklet. I was that guy too for a lot of years, when like it was the era that I bought albums in. I bought all sorts of them and I loved reading the liner notes and, I've
yeah,
still got them in a crate. And beyond that, I'm a guy who collects shit. I like comics. I like fucking magic cards. I got all sorts of collections. So I get it.
yeah,
I get the desire to stock our shelves with shit. But ultimately, and I said this in a thread a while back, it's like fucking tough when you actually break down the math for an independent artist to put $4 or $5,000 towards ordering 100 vinyl and then turn around and sell them, and people buy these vinyls and it's like, oh, 75 bucks on Bandcamp, I'll buy that and I'm really supporting him. And it's like, yeah, if
yeah.
bought it for 75 bucks, he's probably making 5, 10 bucks off of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Word. Yeah, yeah,
And so it's tough, that price point, but people think like, oh, this is how you really support artists, is buying this vinyl. And I'm like, if you would have just bought it on Bandcamp Friday and had the digital album, that would be 10 direct dollars in that artist's pocket. And he wouldn't have had to fucking, you know, save
yeah.
up for 3 fucking years to be able to have 5,000 expendable dollars to put into ordering vinyl, right? Or do a big pre-order thing. The pre-order is very smart. I've talked to a lot of artists who can't figure out like how people bankroll vinyl, and I've mentioned you before to them, saying like,
Hey,
the pre-order strategy is probably smart. It's probably the wave if you're trying to do vinyl. But
hey.
I'm still the guy who's like, yo, we don't need to be shipping shit around the world to each other just so that we can fucking listen to at the gym on our headphones on MP3
Word.
anyways, right? Like,
For real.
so yeah, I know that I'm the odd man out, and anytime I've put a post like that up, it's full of people in the comments say, "Oh, I love vinyl," and it's like, okay, cool, I guess. Like,
Yeah, like, it's not,
but,
and that's the thing too. It's like even doing the vinyl, even for an independent artist, I'm gonna call it a successful run.
yeah,
At least as successful as I was expecting it to be. And I was like, man, because I was sitting with a homegirl the other day, and I was like, I don't know if I would do this again. It's like it's a lot unless you got that expect, which if you're an independent artist, you probably do not. But if you got that extra money sitting around, it's a different story. But it's like, man,
right.
and then the waiting, it's like, bro, the turnaround is not, now we in the green, which is cool,
There you
uh,
go. Yeah, good.
which is dope. But I
Congrats.
know, thank you,
A
it's
lot of
like,
artists don't hit that, man. A lot of artists spend that money and then they've got the fucking crate over there
yeah.
for the rest of their life. Like,
And then it's like, it's like we ain't even talking the cost of making the music,
yeah, right, exactly. The hours, the 10,000 hours put in just learning to make the music and
Yeah,
fucking, yeah, all the effort that goes into making it.
it's a grind, but that's why I'm interested about, and that's what I'm really trying to do now is like, it's like, yeah, I would love to drop a single and, have it go crazy on the streaming platforms. But it's like, I had a homie who was a manager of a successful artist, and he was like, they're really, he used to call them lottery tickets. It's like every song is just a lottery ticket.
Yeah,
It's like you can never actually expect to win, but you can't expect to win if you never play,
there you go, for sure.
It's-
Well, and dude, I was just gonna say, like, I think a lot of artists do the like single drip of singles, steady drip of singles over a long stream
yeah,
to kind of build up and maintain recognition in people's mind,
yeah,
because otherwise people forget about you because there's so much shit that comes out, entertainment wise, not even just music. There's just this
yeah,
constant, news and the TV shows and just everything, right?
yeah,
It's tough to get above that constant flow of media and
yeah,
get anybody to notice it. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, I think all artists kind of struggle with that, but like, you mentioned that, like, you're not an artist who's doing a lot of live shows and like doesn't have a tour coming up, where I think
yeah.
most artists who are ordering the 100 vinyl, they're booking a tour while they're doing it. Like,
Word.
do you think that that's a step you're looking to take, or like why have you not kind of went in that direction when so many artists seem to?
Well, I had some bad experiences with the last few shows that I did.
Hmm.
I lost a whole bunch of money
Damn.
trying to do some big shows, trying to really step out of the comfort zone.
Was
You
that like
know,
money bringing in, like you were promoting the show as well? So you're bringing in artists and
yeah, oh
promising them
yeah.
payouts and everything? Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I was doing the most beautiful show, which did pretty good. It was like a stripped down kind of. I had like an R&B act and like these crazy instrumentalists. It was like a pretty cool show. Always mixed bill. I used to do actually. Now that I say that, never my shows because being a hip hop artist, you always are on a bill with 10 other hip hop artists.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like when I had the power to start doing my own shows, I was always throwing, yeah, of course I got some rappers that I want to throw on my show, of course, but it was always a mixed bag. It's like,
I think your music works well for that too, bro. Like you've
hey,
got, you're definitely in the hip hop lane, but there's a lot of other elements at play there, and there's a lot of melodic stuff, and presented
hey.
to an audience, I think it plays a little bit differently than like the standard 10 MCs yelling at you at a hoodie and boots type of hip hop show.
Absolutely,
Eh,
absolutely. I appreciate that, because it's like I think that's kind of where I do stand in the hip hop game is the like that musicality lane,
yeah, yeah,
It's like I really appreciate hip hop for the music that it is, not just the culture that surrounds it.
sure,
It's like there's so much about just the music itself that I think is so powerful and can work so many different ways.
yeah.
Hence why this new track is a synth wave.
For real. So you'd worked with Babbage before, right? Like, is that the homie? Because last time I talked to you, I was like, how come I don't know you? Like, I remember
What?
having this conversation about like, yo, where have you been in the Edmonton scene? Like, you've lived there your whole life, and you kind of said like, yeah, I just make songs with like my one homie kind of thing, like that produces for you. Is that
Yeah,
Babbage or
no, so that was Andrew.
okay?
And we still be making music together. But Babbage is interesting because that's his like electronic music uh name. But I've worked with him when he used to own a record label or a studio in Edmonton called Velveteen Audio.
Okay.
And I first met him when he was producing a song for Martin Kerr. He was producing Martin Kerr's album, and I was featured on one of the songs, "Dive Right In." And so he was working with another partner at the time. Since then, that studio's closed down. And now he's kind of got like an online distribution company. He's producing a bunch of other songs, but he's putting out a ton of electronic music now, focused under this Babbage label.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, I mean, it looks like he's finding success online. He had a lot of
yeah,
followers and a lot of fans and everything on Spotify and whatnot.
yeah.
Is there going to be more with him coming? Like, is this the first single from an album, or
It is the first single from an album. The next album is gonna be called Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homies.
okay,
And it's an electronic focused hip hop album. Hence why we started with this collab because it was a big track. It was cool to work with Babbage.
yeah,
Um, we're working things out right now because that's what we're trying to figure out right now. Because it's like, it's been a while since I dropped something online. I didn't know how things were gonna play out. And honestly, it worked out pretty good I always just assume the worst,
sure,
just no one's gonna listen. And if we aim low and then build from there, it's just like, yeah, everyone wants a number one hit, but let's see what the reality of the world is first before we make the next decision.
yeah,
And I'm working on a ton of music. I spent a lot of time over the last year getting my producer chops up myself. So I've been producing a lot of things, showing a lot of people behind the scenes some of the stuff that I'm working on. And we're getting some pretty cool because it's very even because I've been so focused on this electronic music wave right now. I've shown some people and they're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, this is not what I think about your music at all,
Nice. Okay. And they're
which I
people who are
was,
familiar with your older music off the
yeah,
top.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like they're
Nice.
like, when I think Just Jordan, and I showed them this one. There's one track I know for sure most people ain't gonna like, but it's a track for me, and
I respect the artistry in making a track that you know people aren't going to like, but that you like.
oh,
That's
and
good.
it's gonna be the intro track too. So it's like it's been because and that's where I'm still trying to figure things out. Is it's like, okay, where are we going to put these songs? Are we gonna drop them online? I think, because again, I'm working on a ton of music. The goal right now is 50 songs fully done this by the end of the year.
Nice.
And then
But not
uh,
released, just in the vault by the end of the
in
year.
in the vault, some of them, we're working on try to get at least, because I placed 6 songs last year, and so I really want to get that number up to about 25 tracks this year. I've been talking to a lot of people in the sync game. I got some mentors that I'm working with right now.
Nice.
Where I'm getting some hookups. I'm getting in front of some music libraries and stuff. We did a decent deal with the music library last year. Um, so I'm just trying to build a realistic business around the music, because I got this business based around the content,
Yeah.
and it's trickling down into the music. I made quite I made the it was one of my best years for music, and I didn't do a single show.
There you
And
go. Yeah. Well, I think that's completely possible, man. I've been talking to artists and I've been kind of waiting for an artist to agree with me that like we're kind of in an era where you probably don't need to be running around doing shows.
yeah,
Um, there's guys who are really blowing up out there, like somebody like Connor Price just got nominated for some Junos. And he just is making catchy bops that like
yeah,
always have a real good, strong social media push behind them. And
yeah.
he's like built up this kind of buzz to a point where now he dropped the album and it's up for a Juno Award. And like there's
Wow.
obviously good management happening there, but he's not the type of artist who was like out, doing shows at pubs. I don't think anyways. I've never seen any photos or any, like
Word. That's a good point. I never even thought about
and
that.
he kind of is going to just go straight to big stages, right? So,
Yeah.
hearing you say that a lot of the new stuff has like this EDM vibe to it, I can see how like you might just be able to jump if you've got the online numbers, which I mean, you kind of do at this stage.
Word.
You might be able to jump straight to festival stages and get in front of some of these big crowds if the music is like, is that the intention of doing the EDM kind of vibe, like, so that you can get out and do some of these big festival shows?
And that is the hope eventually, because it's funny because I always am thinking about how can this benefit the YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like I think something that would be sick is a live streaming set at a music festival, you
Fuck
know?
yeah, yeah. Dude,
You
I
know,
love
I,
it when people live stream their sets. I know that, like, people wanna sell tickets and stuff too, but, like, you can't always get to the every show,
and
and people
yeah.
are sitting at home, they might tune in, so, yeah.
And see, because and I think that's also where my business structure as an artist has shifted, because I can make the money from the live stream, because I can make, even if it's not from the view count, it's from, okay, we sold 3 vinyls from that live stream.
Sure.
It's like, that's a great night for most artists.
Yeah, yeah.
You,
So, are you live streaming exclusively on YouTube then? Is that where you do streams right now, or
That's because I've only done a handful of streams to test the water.
okay.
I was live streaming what the hell is that called? It's that Europe music show. Oh, what Eurovision.
Okay.
Eurovision. I don't know if you are aware of what. Oh, it's bro,
Rings a bell, but no, I
it's
can't say I'm
crazy.
aware of that, no.
Every country in Europe, they each have their own like little kind of like I would say America's Got Talent, but it's like with costumes and it's very
Okay.
theatrical. And so every country hosts their own, and then whoever wins that goes and competes at Eurovision, and then whoever wins that. And actually, a lot of the people that win Eurovision, that song goes on to become a global #1 hit.
Okay, yeah. So
It, like, like if you win that, you're an established artist in the entire world now.
nice.
It's huge, huge, huge. So I was doing some live streams with that, um, and and that was actually the hope moving forward. Was, you know, now that I got some of the production stuff, now I'm trying to think about how to structure a set because it's not the same hip hop sets that I used to do.
Yeah,
Now where I'm at is, okay, how do I make this perform? How do I make this music into an act? Because it's like I don't want to just be up there uh rapping my songs anymore. It's like even with Olympus and stuff, even when I was going around, I was in a toga and shit.
right.
It's like I really try to pull things out and make things a little bit better. But now even with the Mr. J stuff, I want to take that a level up. I want a better costume. I want to make things a little bit more theatrical. So that when I do show up, it's a little bit of a spectacle. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like even if you don't like the music, you can be like, and I think that's where kind of the entertainment side of my whole thing is kind of taking place. Where it's like I believe in my music, I like my music, and because I have an audience, I don't really care if anybody else likes the music because
That audience is there for you. Yeah,
I got some audience now. It's like I don't need everybody to kiss my ass about the songs anymore. I'm not as
sure.
it's like, yeah, again, I want to be making music with people in mind, but it's like even when I'm showing people music, they're like, I don't like that one. It's like, all right, that's cool. I don't like all the songs either.
Yeah, man, not everything is for everybody, right? That's
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a good lesson for musicians to learn, I think. And oftentimes it gets boring when you can tell that the music that they're making is like trying to please everybody.
Yeah,
I sometimes that's the stuff that goes mainstream, but it's few and far between, and you hear a lot of people trying to just emulate what has happened in the mainstream rather than kind of do their own thing and build their own sound a little bit like that. But
absolutely,
yeah, man.
absolutely.
So speaking of atmosphere here, like I kind of feel like Olympus had like a real narrative thread to it where it was about
Yeah.
like, getting up the mountain, the metaphorical mountain and fucking triumphing at the summit over your challenges kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, bro.
yeah, so are you starting a new kind of narrative thread with
Yeah.
atmosphere here and if so
Yeah.
kind of what's the intention there?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's just how I always create. I always got to be telling some sort of overarching, narrative, a theme. And um, that's what I plan to do, what the goal is right now. Again, we'll
Yeah,
see how things,
of course.
things play out.
Sure.
Regardless, something will happen. When it will happen, that's what we don't know.
Of course.
Even again, going back to my homie, he's like, because I was talking to him about the new music, and he's like, yeah, Olympus took you a long time, and he's like, I remember you telling me about Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homies like 2 years ago, and I was like, I know, you know, it takes longer. It always takes, what is that? Takes twice as long and costs twice as much.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Best laid plans, there's always some wrench in the gears at some point, right?
Always. And
I have
so,
guys cancel interviews and tell me like, "Oh, sorry, man, this came up," or "I was in a bad place at that time when I canceled. Let me book again." And I kind of say like, "Dude, I know, like, I get it. I don't hold it
word.
against you. Like, it's all
Hey,
good. I know that this is fucking free art shit. You got to back burner free art shit when real life comes up and
yeah.
real life needs you there at the wheel. You don't have time to do the shit. I understand, so I'm always very thankful for people like yourself who join me for
Hey,
these things, man.
bro, I always appreciate the conversation, my G.
Dude,
Uh,
of course, yeah, always
but
good.
the theme of I mean, it's right in the title. It is about heartbreak, and it's um the whole thing is sad dance music, sad electronic music, I guess is what it started to change into. It started with EDM, And then as I started to look more into the electronic music just in general,
Sure.
why I've been so focused on this style of music is I just think they got the most interesting sounds right now. I just really think that actually a lot of people doing a lot of interesting music are pulling from electronic music right now,
Yeah.
even outside of different genres. They just, people like Fred again, are just making these interesting sounding songs, and so my whole idea is three kind of mini albums, as opposed to these full 12 track. I got three kind of concept albums right now: Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homie, Mr. J and the Crystal Owl and the Stone Bear, and Mr. J and the Great Fantastical Adventure. And
Okay. I can imagine we're getting kind of more spiritual on the crystal owl and what was it? Stone bear? Was that it?
The Crystal Owl and the Stone Bear, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this first album, a lot darker, a lot sadder.
Sure.
Even with atmosphere, it's a chill wave song, but it's about loneliness. It's about being left while other people are moving on. So it's like, it's not only romantic heartbreak in that sense. While I'm finishing up this album right now, but while I was writing it, going through heartbreak in my own life, and probably the heartbreak in my own life is what made me see the heartbreak in so many others' lives too. Hence
Mhm.
the homies, Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homies.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, it's like, oh man, I'm really starting to see the heartbreak that's in everybody, whether they're able to handle the heartbreak with a smile, or, they're breaking down and they're crying over stuff, and, where the world's collapsing. I
Yeah.
just really started to see the heartbreak in the struggle that everyone is facing. Everyone's got that heartbreak. Everyone's got these moments in their life that are difficult to get through, and they're never able to get through. That's what a symbol is, this broken heart.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, but then the saying is still more love, even because that's what it is still too, is it's this positive message of like getting through it with a broken heart. It's like these things can still be beautiful, these things can still be meaningful, and it's like the duality of the whole thing. Uh, I can't remember who won this award, but I believe it was an actor, and he came on stage and he said, "I'm very happy to win this award, but at the same time, last night my uncle died."
Ah,
He's like, I can hold both these things in my heart at this moment. And to me, I was like, wow. I'm not big on award shows or anything, but I was like, whoa, this is a very interesting concept of duality to me. This guy achieved his dream and lost someone very important, and it's just like, that's kind of where I'm going with this whole Mr. J thing. Is this, we're starting with this heartbroken, sad, and then moving into some more, almost more hip hop, confident, fuck the world shit. In the second, what was the bar that we just wrote in the song? They say the devil's in the details. I say the devil's. Oh, they say the devil's in the details. I say that devil's selling retail.
yeah.
Just like, coming back to the real hip hop, fuck the system.
Dope, man. Yeah, the world
You
needs more of that right now, man. I
and
think, yeah, the world needs happy, fun music that doesn't mean a whole lot too, for some escapism. But we do need some people with the microphones talking about some real shit at this point.
Absolutely, bro. And I've seen you post about that too, and I agree, dog.
Yes,
I
sir.
agree.
Someone needs to. I think, yeah, there's a lot of party music that gets a lot of shine. And we kind of have just a generation of people who think that, like, whatever sold the most records is whatever the best music is. And I'm like, no, it's not all made to sell records. Sometimes the best stuff is designed so that it's not accessible to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, sometimes artists are writing for themselves rather than for an audience
Yeah.
necessarily. And I think those things are important to keep to keep this thing art focused,
Yeah.
you know, rather than like commercial product focused. Because like,
Yeah.
yeah, we all have to pay our bills in this fucking system, but ultimately this thing is art, right? Like
Yeah.
the people I gravitate to their music, they're all making what sounds like genuine self-expression. And you know, you can hear it. You can hear it when people
Absolutely.
are sharing their feelings in the music. So yeah, I'm here for it, man. I hope you continue down these paths and continue kind of sharing all that emotion with the world, right? Because
Hey,
yeah, there's not enough of that, man. There's not enough of that out there.
hey, I appreciate it, my G. You a real one, fam.
You know, last time I talked to you, bro, you had mentioned that you were kind of raising some money to try to kind of help support your mom. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask, how are things on that front looking?
Yeah, so my mom's still pretty sick. It's one of the things that made YouTube such a blessing for me, you know.
Yeah,
We get to, highs and lows, and it's it's a challenging thing for everybody, but it's like I feel very blessed that I'm able to help out as much as I am
yeah,
because of what I'm able to do. And I kind of bust my ass when times are good so that I can help out as much when times are bad.
beautiful, man. Yeah,
And it's thank you, my G. Yeah, it's tough. It's a crazy situation, obviously, for everybody involved. And but it's also it gives me so much drive and so much purpose and so much, it's like, well, let's keep our foot on the pedal. The more that I can do these things successfully, the more everybody can win.
you know, and it's a bit of a story that makes people root for you, dude. I think like that, no,
Hey.
knowing that, you know, it's another thing that like I said kind of humanizes you. Because you know, do we really want to give money to guys who are rapping about like how they spend it on flying out OnlyFans models and whatever the fuck else, like, you know, doing drugs and buying fancy shit, like, or do we want to support a guy who's talking about like, you know, I'm supporting my family, I'm supporting my community, I'm trying to help the world here a little bit, you know, it's
Word. That's real, Maji.
for
And
real, man.
absolutely, because those are the people that I'm vibing with too. It's like, yeah, we all love a song about someone getting litty in the club too, but it's like, man, it's cool to hear some dude bare his whole soul on the track too.
Yeah,
Talk
well,
about the things that aren't glamorous.
all the music has a time and a place, but if Buddy is rapping about nothing but how much money he has, I am less compelled to reach in my pocket and give him some of my fucking money because I'm not built like that. So, like, if you
Yeah,
got the money for the foreign cars, then I guess you probably don't need mine. Like, you know,
yeah.
is kind of how it feels. But yeah,
Absolutely. And actually, before we move on to the subject with my mom too, what I
yeah,
also got to say is shout out my mom. I know she's gonna watch this.
yeah,
And when she is feeling better, because it's a crazy situation. She loses her memory and stuff. It's like a whole thing when she's not doing well. But when she is better, she's completely fine. And so because the channel's taken off and so good, she's actually the one that helped me land the licensing deal last year.
damn, okay,
She's doing a lot of my back end stuff. She's the one sending out sponsor pitches. She's the one pitching the music libraries and stuff. So she's doing a whole lot also to help grow and build the system too. She's the one packaging up the vinyls and shipping them out.
damn.
So it's a beautiful little system we got.
That's nice, man. You just pitched a perfect transition to what I wanted to talk about next, which is the sync licensing stuff.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I know I saw just today you posted about shit. His last name's
Harlan Williams.
Harlan Williams. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah,
Recognizable comedian, obviously.
yeah,
Hilarious
huge.
dude. Yeah, big
Yeah.
name. And you did the theme for his podcast. Is it a new podcast? He's been doing a podcast for a while,
He's
right?
been doing a podcast for a while, so I was stoned one night listening to his podcast because I'm a fan,
As one does. Yeah.
as one does. And he's like, in the podcast, he's like, "We're looking for new theme music," and he's like, "This is the email," and I'm like, "Fuck it, let's just do something right now," So I just boom. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because my system is all kind of set up to boom, let's go,
Yeah, ready to go
whether it's
whenever.
the yeah,
Nice.
whether it's the shoot content, whether it's the to do, it's like, it's ease of work. Just get right into it. So, in 45 minutes, I had the little, it's not anything, the song isn't anything crazy,
No, it's like it's the Harlan Williams
yeah,
podcast or whatever. Yeah,
it's not,
don't need to do too much work. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a 15-second jingle, so I got it done ASAP. Sent it over. Didn't even really think of, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he's gonna get 1,000 of these,
Right.
On to the next thing. And then, yeah, I think it was last week. He sent me an email. Harlan did, and he was just like, hey, my Canadian brother, love the jingle. It's gonna be
Damn.
we're gonna premiere it on the Steve-O episode. I'm like,
Sick.
what?
Yeah.
And so just a cool little placement.
So that wasn't through sync licensing or a manager or anybody. It was just you sending an email to
To a
Harlan
dude,
himself.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it was, bro.
Super dope, man. Sometimes when opportunity knocks, you gotta just open the door, right? That sounds like what you did.
And that's exactly what it obviously the other syncs like that placement is, really just what a cool moment,
Kind of a novelty more so than gonna make you bank like typical sync
Abs-
placements will. But yeah,
Absolutely.
what's your
'Cause,
experience with other sync licensing? Have you been dabbling
So
in that?
yeah, so we did do a deal with the music library last year, HMG Hard Music Group, under their label Graffiti Alley, I believe is what it was.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of songs at the time. I always got, I always am working on songs. I gotta whether they're good songs this is debatable, but I got a lot of songs,
That's the constant artist debate right there with themselves. The internal debate never stops. Is this good? Is this bad? Does it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have a large catalog of things, and I decided to put them together. We wrote a bunch of pitches. I've taken a couple of different programs. I took the Canadian Music Incubator program,
Yeah.
and then I took this guy named Joshua Williams, I believe is his name. He primarily produces for Sync. He's done things with Nike, McDonald, everybody. He makes quite a bit of money off his Sync.
Okay.
And so I took one of his programs to learn how to pitch properly, organize files properly. There's a lot in the back end. You're just trying to make it easier for the music libraries, which is mostly to do with the sorting on their end.
So you want to send like stem files for it, right? So that if they want, they can play an instrumental of it at parts to have their actors talk over and then fucking switch it back to your song or whatever. Like
only when they've heard the actual full song.
Okay.
What you really want to do is I use a platform called Disco. It's kind of the music. It's kind of the sync world's thing.
Okay.
It's like if people are want to take you seriously in this world, you're sending disco links.
Okay.
And why disco's the thing is you can throw up the album art, you can throw up, if there's a music video, you can throw that up in it. And but what it's mostly about is the metadata, because they don't yes, of course they're listening to the song quality's got to be good, but what they're also looking for is the tag.
Does it really? Part of me says that like, okay, like I mean, I'll watch like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the new one or whatever, and like here, they're playing hip hop in it. None of it is anything anybody recognizes because it's like, sync licensed.
Yep.
And is it good? I don't know. Is it, like, is the stuff they're playing in the background of Love Island like good music? I don't know. Sometimes I think like, do you, when you write for sync message or for sync licensing, are you supposed to dumb down and just give them the like, ooh, girl, you are my world kind of like bars?
Because it does depend on who you're pitching for.
Right.
Because it's like different. And that's what's also important is the research behind everything. You can't just be going and pitching to all the catalogs because, some people are they might exclusively only work in, let's say, electronic music. So it doesn't matter how good your country song is, it's never going to fit in that library,
right.
Or they might be pitching to like, production companies like A24, which is like a little bit stranger sounds they want. So they don't want your pop song, you know?
Right.
So it's like you really got it's like pitching the radio in that sense where it's like, bro, you can't be pitching to every station, you know?
Love Island wants it as poppy as it can get it for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And so it's like with disco and stuff, you're able to put you can put all of the different splits and stuff that they want because there are protocols. You know, everyone kind of wants the 60-second version. They want it with no intro. They want the instrumental version, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I learned all of that by doing this deal, you know, and signing, hey, we don't not only want that song, but we want all of these other versions too. And I was like, oh shit, this is more work than I originally thought this was going to be, you know?
Still, though,
Uh,
it's normally a pretty big price tag comes along with it to bounce down some extra versions of the song, I'm sure. Not too
and
big
that's
of a
the other thing
problem.
too, is it does depend. It does depend on what kind of deal you're making quite drastically. Because
Okay.
again, I've even it's this is what's so interesting right now. I'm talking to a lot of people right now and a lot of different because I'm trying to again figure out what I'm doing with my time to best to uh, what is going to create the best uh overall result,
Yeah.
whether that be more money, whether that be more eyes on the content. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know which one is better right now, you know.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear people's takes because some people are like, I know some people who are making money off Spotify saying, hey man, I got my song placed in a Netflix thing, huge song, huge Netflix show, I made $100, you
Oh,
know.
okay. Yeah.
And
See,
then,
I only
but
hear the legendary stories of like, oh, and it was $20,000 to let them use my song. And it's like, what? Everybody's
And
got to
but
do
then
sync
you hear
licenses.
that too, bro. I got people who got songs placed in national commercials making 30 grand, you
Yeah.
know?
Like,
So it's you know, it could this is because this is where I'm at right now is I'm talking to all these people that are successful in different lanes, you know. I got people that I know making, you know, bank off Spotify and then not making bank off sync. And then I got people making bank off sync saying Spotify got no money, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I'm here being like, ah shit,
The money's
okay.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's exactly I'm like, hey bro, you ever sell a vinyl off YouTube video? You know?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it sounds like you're finding success one way or the other. Dude, we've been talking for about an hour. You got another 15, 20 here? I normally run through some of these how important questions.
Absolutely, bro. Whatever you want to do, bro.
Okay, well, I did want to ask you as well, this question. Is there anything that you've experimented with promotionally, social media, otherwise, that you can think of that failed that you learned something from?
Oh man, where do we even begin with that? So many things. Um man, I was even going back uh to some of my I went back to the very first reaction video when I hit 100,000 and the first video starts off by me saying, you know, yo, my name's Jordan, I'm a rapper. Don't really know what I'm gonna do, like, you know, but this song just dropped. I like this song. Maybe I'll talk about it, and if you want to, maybe I'll do some more of these, you know.
Yeah.
And now, and so, you know, it's
It
like I
takes a
look
while
back,
to figure out what to do with the content, huh? Yeah.
absolutely, and I've been making content. I've been doing different strategies for 10 plus years. You know, I remember, first posting on Instagram or getting my first marketing book, Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. And, you know, learning about branding and proper posting schedules and even posting songs on Spotify and having no one listen to them, showing other artists how to post on Spotify because I was one of the first ones to figure it out,
Sure, yeah.
and so and even before that, selling my mixtape in like high school,
Yeah.
burning a CD, selling it. And why I bring all of this up is because I was like, it's all just been like try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. I failed at all of these things. It's like, yeah, maybe I sold
Sure.
10 albums, I had what I was doing. on some of my best months before. So like, whatever. I remember when I first got 3,000 views on a month on YouTube. Now I get that an hour, on a
Damn,
bad hour, you
damn.
know? And I see all these shitty videos I made, and I see all these shitty photo shoots that I did. I see all of the money I spent on advertising that didn't equate to any streams. I see, all the vlogs that I sat down and spoke to that didn't get any views, and I see all of it as, hey, this guy was out there trying shit, and he finally found something that picked up momentum. And I think because one of the things, especially when the channel started growing a little bit, was people were like, hey man, good for you for just doing whatever works. And I was like, that's all I ever been trying to do,
Yeah, man.
So I think it's like, man, that's why this question was hard, because it's like I look back and it's like all I did was fail.
Sure. Choose
You
one.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense, man. That's a great answer, dude. So let's get into these how important questions. I think I probably asked you some last time. I hope I don't retread, but honestly, I don't remember what I asked you, and
It's
you
been a
probably don't
while.
remember either. So we'll
No.
we'll, we'll take it from here. Let's start with you kind of mentioned, like, you're trying to figure out how to make this new kind of more electronic flavored music, and your stage show makes sense and make it into an engaging stage show. So let's start with how important is stage banter or like storytelling between songs?
Whoa, okay. Whoa, I feel heavily about this actually. I
Good.
I I think it's incredibly important. Um, Especially if you're not someone who's like Adele,
Sure.
where, and even her, she has great stage banter. If you look, she is very engaging the whole time. But especially because I've watched so many live performances, especially over the last year, so many artists. It's like Freddie Mercury, for instance, was great on the mic, and then when the song was over, he was still awesome. You know, and like
Yeah.
it's just, I don't think it's absolutely vital if you have an incredible talent and your songs are absolutely phenomenal, but in the real world where most artists lives, I think that's your chance to really cement connections with people.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that, man. How about improvisation on stage? Are you thinking about bringing in, you know, improvisation and kind of making some shit up on stage part of the
That
time
would
with
be
these
cool.
songs? Like,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely. I got a machine, the freaking beat pad. So
nice.
it's like I would love to, especially with this first project, Mr. Jane the Heartbroken Homies. I really want to do some stuff with other people on stage, other musicians, and just have like a vibe. I know some incredible musicians, they've played on some of my tracks. And so I would love to be able to, when I'm doing some of these, especially, I just think electronic music is so cool because there's so much room for the addition of live instrumentation on top of it.
Right. Yeah, man, that would be
So
dope.
yes.
Fill a bunch of people up on stage, get everybody up there and fill the stage up and have,
Oh,
an entire band up there with you, or horns. Live horns always kill everything,
oh,
get a horn section up
absolutely.
there. Yeah. Just hearing you talk there made me think, like you said, you had a sample pad that you would bring up on stage now, likely. Um, it made me think, like, when I talked to Def 3, he talked about how, like, he's doing the same type of blending hip hop lyricism and delivery into EDM music for festivals, and how he brings his
Sick.
MPC up on stage and, has sections of the show where he's on the MPC, and then other sections where he's, out rapping or letting the beat go and just kind of hyping the crowd while he's up there or whatever. Definitely, I'll
Very
send you a
cool.
link to that talk, because we talked a lot about kind of his dabbling into that spectrum of hip hop, and how it's still breaking a lot of new ground for artists to be trying to bring hip hop to those festival stages and figuring out how it all fucking works, right?
Very cool. I would love to hear that actually. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I'm interested in right now, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If there's one thing that I can do, it's point, MCs across the country at other MCs who, like, are trying not necessarily the same things, but similar things and going through the
Yeah,
same struggles and have different strategies on it or whatever. It's everybody's trying to crack the same code, right? Um,
absolutely.
yeah, dude. I think I asked you that one. Let's say, how important is finding the right venue for shows? I mean, you said you
Oh,
don't do many shows, but
not anymore.
in the experiences you have had, how important has the venue been?
You know, the interesting question, because especially based on my experience, the venue is not as important as who's running the venue.
Mm,
It's
sure.
like it's like I think I've seen some incredible acts in some of the shittiest venues put on some of the best shows, you
And
know?
sometimes that's beautiful when you get to see an act who's kind of in a venue that they should be above, and you get to see them play to a small crowd. There's a comedian, Henry Sir, who hilarious guy from Edmonton, does a lot of like, anti-separatist, anti-mega kind of progressive guy jokes, but he's from
Okay.
Edmonton and does like, thick Alberta accent to like ham it up while he does newsreels and shit. But hilarious
Okay.
guy. He's on tour across Canada right now. If people can
Oh,
see him, they
sick.
should. But I saw him in Lethbridge here, and then like 4 or 5 days later, we see pictures of the crowd he was performing to in Edmonton, and it's like great big fucking like raised seating going back for as far as the camera
Wow.
sees, and I was just like, oh, okay. We saw him in like 45 people in a fucking dive bar basement comedy club or whatever. So yeah, it's dope when you get to see big names. I mean, not that he's necessarily a big name, but he, you know, bigger than maybe this
Established.
place. Yeah, established
Yeah,
names.
absolutely. See, yeah, so I don't think a venue matters as much as, I've seen some really cool people do a street show and it's dope.
There you go. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, man. Uh, let's do this. How important is a follower count?
Well, let me tell you, I think it's pretty important these days.
Yeah.
But what I also have grown to learn is it it it's interesting. A million views to me doesn't mean the same thing as a million views used to mean to me.
Hmm.
Um, it's not as for instance, I've had videos hit a million views and a video that hit 10,000 views make more money and sell more albums.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
I was just
So
gonna
it's
ask, like, what about between does a million views on a music performance, if you're going to rap a verse and put that out as content, or like put out a song promo like that, a million views on that, does that feel better than a million views on eating a grapefruit for the first time? Or whatever
great
else,
pull, bro.
you know?
Great pull. And you know what? At one time it used to,
Yeah.
and now it doesn't because at my core now everything I do is just intended. I don't do reaction videos to songs that I don't like. The ones that I do and that I have not vibed, because I put out a couple of those, and not only did I feel bad about putting them out because not that I ever, I'm not the kind of person to shit on anything really,
Sure. Yeah.
but it wasn't a positive review, and people didn't like it. I didn't like doing it, and so there's so much content now that I don't put out because I'm like, I was just talking to someone about this too. It's like, to me, I guess it's always been the thing is like the vibe is everything. So atmosphere is doing pretty good on YouTube, and if it does feel good, but the numbers don't mean as much as maybe the messages mean. It's like somebody messaged me about that song, and they're like, "Yo, I'm summarizing. It was actually a very heartfelt message, and it was crazy. They're saying that they're gonna use that song in their memorial service."
Damn.
And I was just like, I don't care, those million views on anything don't mean as much as this one message did.
Yeah. Because
And
it's
so
actually really connected with somebody, right?
exactly. So it's like the numbers to me now are it's weird. There was a time where it was like a dopamine rush, you know? It's like, holy crap. We're now it's like we need to do these numbers, you know? It's like it's a different feeling that these days.
Little extra pressure to it then to maintain the momentum.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that makes sense.
the thing I think about now is, yeah, there's OG YouTubers, and you know, there's people are always referring to things from the outlier perspective, where I always try to keep things real. You know, it's like even think about some of the best television shows ever. You know, a great. I think Jerry Seinfeld said this, in arguably one of the greatest TV shows ever made.
Sure.
You know, a great television show, a great television show will have 5 seasons. It's like it will end. Some of them will get 7, some of them will get 9, and then you get your freaking Grey's Anatomies and whatnot. But
Sure.
there's
Yeah.
gonna be a high and a low, and right now I'm just trying, and this is why I'm trying to do so many different things, and because it's like I don't know if this is gonna last forever. Probably not, but right now there's this cool momentum. People are enjoying whatever this is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to keep getting better at all of this that I'm doing now.
That's a noble effort, man. For people to continue trying to better themselves, I applaud it. That's all that
Thank
we
you
can
much.
be doing. Shit. How about this, dude? I'll ask two of these at once, and this might be the first time ever that I've asked two of these at once. But you kind of
Okay.
mentioned vibe is everything. So, how
Yeah.
important is being lyrically intricate, and how important is melodies and vibe? I guess.
Interesting. Great question. And I think context is what matters here the most. Um, Even some of the songs, and who was it? Who the hell was it? Was it Joey Badass? Was it no, not Joey Badass. No way. Um there was a rapper, and an established rapper, and he produced an album with sync in mind, So it was a little bit more broad than some of his other product or albums were.
Hmm.
However, I was listening to one of his agents talk on a podcast. Damn it, I wish I remember who it was. Anyways, and he was saying he got every single one of those songs placed in multiple things. And I was like, the boy did what he set out to do. So now when I'm writing tracks, this is what I'm trying to keep in mind, is because when I was working on, say, Life, my first album, or Olympus, it's like, yo, we gotta get the message out, we gotta get the lyrics in, it's about but now I'm like, nah, what is important is the vibe, because sometimes you don't want, even some of the songs I have on Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homie aren't the most lyrical songs I've ever written.
Sure.
Some of them are, but some of them are not, because that's not the intent of what I'm trying to do with that piece of art,
Yeah.
and I think it's just like anything else, where it's like, yeah, we get the MCs like Kendrick, where it's like everything he dropping means a million different things, but it's like not, especially where every artist is different, but where I'm creating from is there's a time and a place for all of these things, you
Yeah,
know?
man. I just did a huge like recap of 2025 Canadian hip hop, and I went through 55 different fucking albums, and I can't call it which is best. Those are my favorites from the year, but like seriously, every one of them sounds like the artist set out to do something and they fucking did it the way they wanted to do it. So who am I to say, okay, well, this one's made for the dance floor, so this one over here is better than it? Because sometimes you
Yeah.
need music for the dance floor. Sometimes you need music to smoke a blunt to. Sometimes you need music when you're heartbroken, and sometimes you need music to go fight to. Uh, it's all got to exist, right? So I
That's
can't
what it
call
is.
it best. And so, yeah, I definitely understand
And
and respect your answer there, that there's a time
and
and a place for
especially,
any of it, right?
absolutely. And the thing I always go back to is the cliche: comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
If you enjoy it, boom, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's enough, you know?
Hell yes, man. How about this? How important is keeping up with the news?
Oof. That's a that's an interesting one.
Doesn't even have
Um,
to be from an artist point of view, just for people in general. I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are like, "No, I can't pay attention to it. I don't pay attention to it." And then there's other people who are definitely down that rabbit hole, you know?
yeah, and I have lots of both of those people in my life, and I think especially working on this album, Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homies, before I used to think that, if you were not informed, you were doing yourself a disservice. But, a lot of people are struggling every day in their lives to keep their head above the water,
Yeah.
and I think that there's people like you and I that can help ease the transition for the people that can't invest into the constant news cycle that there is, and um, so I think that there is a balance to be had dependent upon your life, because there's so many people who are struggling too much, and it's like, damn, and then to have all of this other bullshit going on, it's like, bruh, you got other things to worry about,
Yeah,
So I think it's just like anything, it's contextual.
for sure, man. Um, so I've got my suspicions about this one with, you being a guy with dreadlocks here, but also earlier, before we went live, I asked you like, "Are you sober?" You kind of give
Oh,
off this like sober vibe. So maybe that's you too, but how important is any particular substance to your artistic process?
I love cannabis.
There you go.
I don't drink as much anymore. Maybe the odd rare occasion. My first album, Life, I was drinking quite a bit. And then in Olympus, it was kind of, way more into the cannabis, still drinking a little bit. Now, not so much drinking, especially for that health purposes,
Yeah.
But now, I'm a big fan of cannabis, but all things in moderation as always, it's just like anything, try to fast away from things every once in a while, but
Yeah.
I
Wise
do love
words.
smoking, everything in moderation, including moderation.
For sure, for sure. Dude, okay, so let's do one more of these. Let's say we kind of touched on this. How important is going live on social media as an artist?
That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah,
Um, I think I think anything live is is valuable and is going to only continue to become more and more valuable. So honestly, I think it's if you can figure it out, and even if you're connecting with 5, 10 people, I think that's very, very, very valuable. So I guess in the grand scheme, I would say it's very valuable.
fair enough, man. So another thing I think is important to touch on with artists here in these interviews lately is, American, what's going on down there? The whole news that we just kind of alluded to. Some people needing to tap out on. Do you have anything to say about what's going on in America? I just want to open the door for that. And beyond that, kind of, would you do a show in America if the money was right now?
Yeah, I would. I think art is always a healing force, through everything.
There you go. Nice.
Uh, I always think it is. I know people are very against it, but it's like, I think connecting with the people is always the best thing to do, no matter what circumstance. I just listened to the new Bruce Springsteen song. I did a reaction video to it.
I heard
Uh,
about that, but I haven't listened to it yet. Yeah.
it is it's I mean, a great protest song.
What's it called?
Uh,
Streets of Minneapolis or something like that?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I try my best, especially with that content. Music is different, but with that content, I try not to be making any kind of political state. It's entertainment focused. You know, and I'm never trying to make people comfortable. That's not like I said. I'm in a place now where I don't think everybody needs to be talking about everything, you know, especially all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's why I didn't
but
want to put anybody, yeah, I don't want to put you too much on the spot here. I just, if you have anything to say, here's the
no,
time,
no,
you know. Yeah.
absolutely. What I'll say in that regard is, you know, I think love is always the most important thing. And when there's the absence of love, the only thing that can fill that back in is the love. And, you know, people doing the right thing and people standing strong. It's like, you know, there's so much hate and there's always been hate. That's the thing, too. It's like, you know, this is nothing new, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different character with a different costume on, saying a slightly different speech, you know, talking the same jazz. You know, it's all this. It's the tale as old as time.
There's
Unfortunately,
always been oppression in the world out there. There's always been, yeah, people taking advantage of other people and doing despicable things. Yeah.
always, and it's heartbreaking. You know,
Yeah.
and the only thing that will solve it is more love. You know, and so it's like I think that's the least controversial take that everyone can agree upon, you know?
Yeah.
And as stupid, simple as it sounds, the most challenging thing to accomplish, you know? That's what all of the greats have always been talking about. The Beatles, Bob Marley. It's
Yeah.
like, why does some of these songs speak so? Because all we need is love.
Right.
One love. It's like
Where
as
is the
much as
love? You know?
where is the love,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
As much as it may not seem like a controversial take, it may not seem like a like, but when you sit down and you think about it, it's the only answer forward, you know?
Hell yeah, man. I like that. Okay, one last thing. I ask people for tips sometimes. And this one specifically came to mind because my brother-in-law was asking me about a week ago for tips on meditation. And I thought,
Okay.
well, shit, I'm sitting down to talk with a guy who, you know, talks a lot about meditation. Do you have
Yep.
any tip for meditation, or, you know, just how people who aren't into meditation, who want to get into it, should go about trying that?
Absolutely. My first thing is always try guided meditation first. There's so many great apps, there's so many great videos on YouTube. There's so many it's a great way to dip your toes in the water to get started. And then another thing I always want to say about meditation too is, you know, a lot of people sit down and try meditation one time, they're like, ah, it didn't work,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like I've seen the same struggle with people that went to the gym. Oh, I ate a salad, I didn't lose any weight. Yeah, bro.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's gonna take much more time to develop a rich and meaningful practice, but it's like, you know, it's the small doing the smallest amount of thing that you can consistently is going to get you much further than one big effort.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the smallest thing? Even my practice now, you know, there was a time where I was practicing an hour a day, 2 to 3 hours on the weekends.
Damn.
Now, my daily practice is 5 minutes of breath work, 5 minutes of meditation,
Okay.
you know, and it's because right now that's what I can keep consistent, you know, and it still is serving me very well, you know?
For myself, I have at times in my life done 20-minute meditation every day, as like a routine, and, you know, maintained that for several years on end in my 20s or whatever. I kind of don't as much anymore unless I'm feeling particularly stressed or anxious, or, you know,
Mhm.
unless I really feel like I need the grounding that day. But oftentimes when I talk about it, it makes me think like I should get back to doing that, you know, like
Yeah,
doing it every 20, or doing every day for 20 minutes. That doesn't hurt. And yeah, we've all got time to find in a day to do something like that. So that was my
absolutely.
recommendation to him was, like you said, you got to build the routine. So I recommended, like, you know, set aside 20 minutes a day, do it for a month, and then
Oh,
evaluate.
that
If
would be, I mean, a 20 minutes a day for a month, that he's gonna be a different man at the end of it, you know?
Right, you'll feel it. It'll actually cause physical changes in your brain. I've fucking seen the
Yeah.
papers and whatever. Like, you get more gray matter out of it. Like, you'll feel the changes in your brain if you can make yourself do that for a month, 2 months, 3 months. You might just get into the habit after a month and do it constantly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like meditation and think that it's important for people and would probably help a lot of people in society kind of,
Ugh,
I don't know, regulate themselves a little bit more and learn that, like, every thought that pops into your brain isn't something you've got to fucking answer to. Some of that shit you can push aside. That
Absolutely,
for me,
dog.
that's what meditation is the practice of pushing away thoughts. It's finding stillness or whatever. So
Absolutely, G.
yeah. All right, man. This has been fun talking with you.
Oh,
Before I let anybody go, I always ask a couple more things here. Can you describe the Edmonton hip hop scene? Or, you know what? It's your local hip hop scene. If you want to talk about Alberta or Canada or whatever else.
I see a lot of people doing all kinds of interesting things around Edmonton. I'm a little bit less connected to the actual hip hop scene in Edmonton these days. Um, more, it seems like more connected, like bigger acts like, even K Riz, who was here for the longest time is gone, doing things in Calgary
I
now.
don't know if he
Uh,
just moved back to. I saw him say, I don't know, on Threads or something like, "I'm back, Edmonton," or something along those lines. And I don't know if he was
oh, he
just
was
back
he was doing a
visiting.
show. He was doing
Oh,
a
okay,
show.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw it and
yeah.
was like, did he move back?
No, I
Edmonton,
don't think so. I think he was
Edmonton
just
is a
here for the
hotbed
night.
of MCs, but okay, that makes
And then we
sense.
got, Arlo Mavericks always doing stuff for the community and for the
Hell yeah,
culture.
yeah.
And but and you got the boy Cadence Weapon who always rolling through. I don't think he lives here though now. I think he
He's
is
out in
in
Montreal, Cadence Weapon.
Montreal
Yeah,
now. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's like, a lot of the big players seem to be uh, you know, moving and shaking outside of
Speaking of Cadence Weapon, just to give him a shout here and a plug, he's got a book coming out. I want to say like tomorrow. He has a new book
Oh,
dropping.
no
So
way.
I read his last book. I think it was called like Bedroom Rapper or Basement Rapper or something along those lines. But he talks about kind of coming up in Edmonton. It was worth the read, and he actually reads it on Audible. So when
Oh,
I say I
sick.
read it, I mean I listened to him read it to me.
That's how I do it too.
Yeah, yeah. It still counts. It still counts. But yeah, shouts to Arlo, shouts to Cadence Weapon, definitely. Um,
Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of people doing, but it's like the locals, like, I don't know who's throwing shows anymore, especially in the hip hop world. I know people doing stuff in the other genres, but
are you
it's
familiar with
almost like,
Arden? ARDN?
oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
he just was nominated for the Juno this year.
That's right.
That's an Edmonton-based dude. He's I think I was gone by the time he kind of hit the scene in Edmonton. I never was around when he was around, but I know he's an Edmonton dude and
That's right. I forget about him.
doing big
I
things.
did go.
Oh,
Yeah, I actually went and saw one of his performances. When was that? Last 2 years ago, maybe. Crazy, crazy, great performer.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of talent in Edmonton. I make the argument that
Tons.
Edmonton has maybe the most dope artist per capita. I end up playing
Woo!
more music from Toronto, but there's a few more million people in Toronto. So it's
Word.
it makes sense. But yeah, for a city with 1 million, I think Edmonton has
Edmonton's dope.
yeah, Edmonton has a lot of spitters up there. Can you name a Canadian artist who you haven't collaborated with, who you'd like to collaborate with? Breathe it into reality.
Oh, you know who my and this my dream Canadian collab. Um, it's not going to be a hip hop act. It's actually going to be Michael Bublé.
Hey, all right. I mean,
I
sure.
love Bublé, bro.
Like in a genuine way, you enjoy his music. This isn't
Oh,
just a like he gets lots of hits, so I'd like to collaborate
oh,
joke.
he's one of my. I have, I think, four because people kept buying me his Christmas album. I have
Okay.
four of his Christmas album on CD. You know,
Okay. So
I love Bublé.
Bublé's biggest fan here. Okay.
Yeah,
Nope.
bro.
Easy listening stuff. I mean, I could see a kind of like mellow jam with two of you on it. That could work. Um, how about shows that people should look? Well, anything that you want to plug that people should look out for coming up before we should quit this
Oh
thing.
man, well, follow me on YouTube. That's we going for the millie. That's we trying to 10 times what we doing right now.
Hell yes.
Uh and then I will have more music coming out. When? Not quite sure yet, but I got a bunch of music loaded up in the tank. Um, we're just trying to figure out the best strategy on on how to get it out. But I got music on my website. I do have a digital version of Olympus 2, which is an album I only dropped on my website. That is
Olympus
only
never
digital.
hit streaming, right? It never
No, it
went
never
digital.
will.
Okay,
No,
right. Okay.
never will. Only vinyl, only 1,000. And then once we hit that, it's done.
I meant to ask that earlier, but we talked through that
We got a lot on the
concept.
yeah. Yeah, only. So there, tons of video, tons of content. I'm putting stuff out everywhere.
Beautiful. Okay, so no shows to buy tickets to right now, but they should hit the follow on YouTube and pay attention for whatever you're doing next. Okay.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned a website. Where can people find that, and where are you most active on social media? Like YouTube, right?
Probably YouTube for sure, and
Yeah.
then probably Instagram.
Okay.
But I am posting on everything. And then my website is www.primepurposemovement.com. You can find that link on any of my social medias. All my social medias are JusJrdn, JusJrdn.
Nice. Beautiful, man. It's been great talking to you. We should chat sooner than another year and a half down the line, I think.
For sure, bro. Whenever you're down.
Hell yes. All right, man. Sounds good. This has been fun. I hope you have a good night, man.
You too, brother.
Peace. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. These things happen every Tuesday here live on Twitch, talking to different artists. Coming up next weekend, I'm talking to Toronto-based MC Zeppo. That's going to be an early one. It happens at 3 o'clock. I try to keep these interviews either 3 o'clock or 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and leave it up to the artist which time they choose, because I know some guys are on a day shift, some guys are on a night shift, some guys have other obligations at different times of the day, so it is what it is. Next week, February 10th, Tuesday, I talked to Zeppo at 3. February 17th, I'm talking to A-Sun Eastwood and Lord Juco. They have an album out right now called Two Birds, which is very, very dope. Looking forward to chopping it up with them. I think probably those are my two favorite lyricists in the country, and they just dropped an album together, even though they're both also great solo artists doing solo stuff. So I'm really looking forward to talking to them, especially I've had them both on the show before, so it'll be fun to get all three of us talking. And then February 24th, I talked to Michael Shabazz. He is, I want to say, a St. John's, New Brunswick-based MC. He's worked with a lot of the guys out there on the East Coast, and he's active on social media. He always says a bunch of dope shit that I like. Kind of one of the more socially conscious artists in the Canadian scene, I want to say. After that, I haven't actually posted this schedule yet. Maybe I'll make it and put it on screen here for as I'm saying this, but let me run through the March schedule. So March 3rd, I talked to Montreal-based artist Mackie Lavender. March 10th, I talked to another guy who just moved out to Montreal from Treez 7, where I'm at here in Lethbridge. I think he was actually over in Saskatoon, but he was in Lethbridge quite a lot, worked with some Lethbridge guys, definitely had some Treaty 7 roots. But K-Stone, I'm talking to March 10th. March 17th, Sazy is back. I want to say for the 4th time. I think he'll be the first artist I've talked to 4 times in 3 years on this show. But it makes sense because he drops 5 or 6 fucking albums a year. So, there's a lot to talk about with Sazy, and he's always entertaining to chop it up with. So I'm looking forward to that. And then March 24th, I'm talking to D.O.V and DJ Chino 420 of Hella Treez, which is a Toronto-based crew. They've been putting out a bunch of dope projects, always purist boom bap stuff, always dope. And then March 31st, I'm talking to the 6th letter of the Bakers Club, Raz Fresco and Gritball, the other 2 members of Bakers Club, at least that I know of. I've talked to Gritball in the past, haven't had a chance to connect with the 6th letter, but I've definitely played a lot of his music in the past. He had one with Ghost Boy RJ last year that I thought was one of the best albums in 2025 Canadian hip-hop as well. he had his own solo album that I thought was one of the best, 50 albums in Canadian hip hop. Speaking of, if you want to check out that list of 50 albums from Canadian hip hop 2025 that I really enjoyed, my entire intention with that is just to get more people listening to a wider variety of Canadian hip hop. And I think that, there's sure the Junos made some picks, but there's all sorts more that didn't get that shine in the Junos nominees. So I wanted to just, flash the spotlight across the country in various directions and highlight some of my favorite albums from last year. Lots more interviews coming up. I'm almost booked until the end of May right now. Interviews every Tuesday. You can always catch After the Smoke is Clear, my mix show, hour worth of newly released Canadian hip hop. Oh shit! I mean to stop saying Canadian hip hop. Newly released hip hop from Canada. That's how I'm going to say that from now on. I promise. Because people hate when I call them Canadian hip hop. They're like, I'm just hip hop, and this is. I happen to be in Canada, but I make hip hop. So hip hop from Canadian artists. Let's say it that way. I'm having fun doing this. I hope people are having fun watching and learning something. Keep on coming back. I'll catch you on the next one.